The message came on a Tuesday, not through primitive radio waves or digital signals, but carved into the lunar surface with precision that no human technology could match. Simple, direct, we come in peace. Admiral Tom Davis stared at the satellite imagery, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. 50 years in the military had taught him one thing: trust was earned, never freely given. They could have contacted us directly, he muttered to the assembled Joint Chiefs. Why announce themselves by defacing our moon? General Kate Wilson nodded. It's a show of power. Look what we can do from a distance. 3 days later, the visitors arrived. 7 crystalline ships hanging over major cities, each perfectly silent, each perfectly still. No emissions, no radiation, nothing that Earth's sensors could detect beyond their physical presence. World governments scrambled. The UN convened emergency sessions. Religious leaders called for calm, and humanity waited. The aliens called themselves the visitors. Humanoid but taller, with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their moves. Their ambassador, who took the Earth named Leo, addressed the United Nations with perfect English and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. We bring gifts, Leo announced. Medicine to cure your diseases. Technology to end your energy crisis. Knowledge to advance your civilization by centuries. All they asked in return was permission to establish outposts in remote areas. Deserts, mountains, deep ocean floors. Places humans rarely ventured. Admiral Davis was the lone dissenting voice at the Security Council. We know nothing about them, he insisted. Their biology, their technology, their true intentions. We're being asked to trust blindly. What would you have us do, Tom? The president asked. Reject potentially world-changing gifts because of military paranoia. Davis stood firm. One condition, just one. No outpost may block or interfere with our global communications or monitoring systems. Complete transparency. Leo agreed immediately, almost too eagerly. The treaty was signed within a week. The first 6 months were miraculous. Cancer treatments that worked overnight. Fusion reactors that powered entire cities with a cup of water. Crop yields tripled. The stock market soared. Humanity entered a golden age. Admiral Davis retired, labeled a fearmonger, a relic of outdated thinking. He moved to a small cabin in Montana, where he spent his days fishing and his nights watching the stars with growing unease. The communications blackouts began in month 7. Brief at first, seconds, then minutes. Technical glitches, the visitors explained. Nothing to worry about. By month 9, the blackouts lasted hours. Satellite imagery of the visitor outposts showed massive structures that hadn't been there before. When questioned, Leo smiled that not quite smile. Upgrades to better serve humanity. In month 10, Davis received an unexpected visitor. Kate Wilson, now the highest-ranking military official, arrived by helicopter. She looked thinner, her eyes haunted. You were right, she said, without preamble. The outposts, they're not what we thought. She showed him classified footage. The structures were growing, spreading underground like roots. And at each location, strange readings, energy signatures that matched nothing in human science. I need you back, Tom. Davis shook his head. Too late. They've had nearly a year to establish themselves. The next day, all global communications went dark simultaneously. Power grids failed worldwide. Military installations found their weapons systems unresponsive. And the visitors changed. Their skin hardened into armor. Their gentle demeanor vanished. Leo addressed the terrified UN one final time. You had one chance, one warning we honored. Your admiral understood, but you silenced him. Now Earth belongs to the Vex Collective. Humanity fought back with what they had. Conventional weapons, desperate courage, but it was like throwing stones at a tsunami. Davis led a resistance from his Montana hideaway, using old radio equipment the visitors, now openly calling themselves the Vex, had overlooked. He gathered survivors, military personnel who heeded his warnings and civilians with useful skills. They wanted our resources, Davis explained to his ragtag army. Not the ones we valued, metals, fuels, but our biomass, our DNA, our planet's core temperature. things we never thought to protect. 6 months into the occupation, Davis discovered the Vex's weakness. Their communication system required precise alignment with their home world. If disrupted, the hive mind faltered. Using that knowledge, the resistance launched a coordinated strike on a small outpost in the Rockies. The battle was brutal, casualties high, but they captured intact Vex technology. Davis studied it obsessively, finding subtle flaws the overconfident aliens had never addressed. They never expected resistance after their takeover, he told Wilson. Arrogance is their vulnerability. The resistance grew. Other cells formed globally. Humanity adapted, as it always had. 3 years after the Vex arrived, Davis stood on a hillside watching a Vex ship crash into the Pacific Ocean. The Resistance had reprogrammed their own communications satellites to broadcast disruption signals. "We should have listened to you from the start," Wilson said quietly. Davis shook his head. "We should have listened to ourselves, to our instincts. Trust is valuable precisely because it must be earned." He looked at the burning wreckage, at the first major human victory. "We issued just one warning, one condition, and when they violated it, we were ready to pay the price of that violated trust." He turned to face the rising sun, "But now they'll pay for underestimating humanity." In the distance, more resistance fighters emerged from hiding places, carrying salvaged Vex weapons and wearing determined expressions. Earth was far from free, but humanity had remembered its strength, and the warning they issued to the next visitors would be etched not in the moon's surface, but in the stars themselves, written in the wreckage of Vex ships and the indomitable will of a species that refused to surrender.